All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be breaking down the top prop bets here for the Thursday night showdown between the Green Bay Packers and the Washington Commanders. Let's go ahead and get into it. Now, first, I want to show you guys a new tool at 9to5sports.com to show you guys the game totals for this first game here. So it is still a slight work in progress, slightly. I mean, you can get all the information that you want for it. But what we're doing here is we're comparing all the different sportsbooks that are coming in via the 9to5 data to get the best odds and to get the average odds. So it is going to be highlighted like which bets are going to be the best bets for you, but you can go through each tab here as well if you're kind of looking for something more specifically. So maybe potentially you guys think that the plus 3.5 is a good bet for Washington. Then you do that on FanDuel at minus 105. Okay, that'd be a solid bet there. Or if you think the Packers are going to win by minus one, if you think that the Packers are going to win by 3.5 points, you think that's a good line, then you could bet that there on mybookie.ag. There are a bunch of different sportsbooks in there as well. You guys can select which one you specifically use as well. If you're looking for that, you can do that there as well. Total points is going to be the exact same thing. And head-to-head, you guys can get those odds there as well. So it's all included in there. The main market's kind of just a snapshot. But overall, the game is projected to be a very high-scoring game, 48 points total. So for like props betting purposes, we're going to focus on a lot of the overs there. I would think, and then looking at the point spread, I do like the Packers to win. I think that line's correct. I think I would be fine betting them to win by 3. Both teams look really good though, and almost to the point where. And actually, let me rephrase that. Like their opponents did not look that good. Okay, and so how much of it is maybe the Giants not being that good? Probably a decent amount there. They didn't look that good. Whereas you look at the Packers, like we know Detroit's probably not going to be as good of a team last year, but have the Packers improved that much? I mean, they're healthy. That was a little bit of a shock to me heading into that game, how healthy they were. And then they also acquired Micah Parsons, and he ended up making some impact plays there as well. So interesting there. I think I would go with that, but I would say nothing egregious there as well with those lines that we're getting. Now let's go ahead and just talk about which bets are currently the best bets for this game. Okay, so the first one's going to be Austin Ekeler for over his fantasy score here of 9. It's actually going to be about the same on underdog there as well. Now, before we actually get into this, I do want to show you guys the snap counts for the Commanders. Okay, so just looking at it, I want to call this out. So the running back split, the workload split, I think really was what I was expecting. I would assume you guys as well, where Austin Ekeler was the RB1 started. Now, maybe as the season progresses, it is going to become more a Bill as a starter, and then it kind of just flips. Jeremy McNichols getting 19%. Him specifically was a little bit surprising. You know, Chris Rodriguez is someone that's more of a bruiser running back, more of a in between the tackles type of running back. I mean, that McNichols getting the workload was a little bit surprising, but that being the split share, not too shocking. I think it is worth calling out, though, that Bill did have the higher rush percent there for the running backs, 31% there, whereas Austin Ekeler, again, kind of expected, had a 36% route share. So that clearly tells us that Bill's going to get more carries. Austin Ekeler is going to get used more in the receiving game. And so this is where it's very important for props betting purposes, what type of game you think it's going to be. Is it going to be that high-scoring game? Also, is it going to be a game in which the Packers are winning or the Commanders are winning? If it's a game where the Packers are going to be winning, that's going to favor Austin Ekeler a bunch. Okay, he ended up with 3 catches on 3 targets for 31 yards. Okay, that role is clearly his. And we could favor a little bit more rushing props if you guys think that they're going to end up winning. So I don't mind that. Worth calling out, Zach Ertz as well, guys. Had an 82% target share, or route share, sorry. 19% target share, really not too low. Like these numbers, the route share and target share, that's what you want to be. The snap share, 64%, not great, but at least he's playing on the downs you want him to play on. In terms of Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin, really not shocking with the stats that they had. I guess like Terry McLaurin in his first game back might shock some people. I think he is going to get off to a slow start. Worth calling out, though, that Terry McLaurin did have a touchdown that Jayden Daniels missed on. He was wide open, or it probably would have been a touchdown, if not just a massive game. But other than that, that was like the only big play that was there for him. And so now we go ahead and get back into the Austin Ekeler prop. I don't mind it. I think we could get to the over. But let's just kind of take a peek at the bets that PrizePicks has for him just in general. So basically he's expected to get 2.5 receptions and is projected to get 50 rush and receiving yards. So just right there. It's only at 7.5. If you want to round up 8. Okay, so the fantasy score is a little bit high, but that is kind of the best bet collectively that we are getting for him. We see that last game against the Giants, only 8.7 there. Again, if the Packers are winning this game, like Vegas is thinking, that should lead to another reception for Austin Ekeler there. And so that being said, this line that we're getting for Austin Eckler, 3.5, I actually would not mind. This is a demon bet on Prize Picks. Also going to be the same there for other sites where you get a boosted payout for using that. Again, that's going to be more game script dependent. And this is a game where we can do some game script dependent bets, and that'd be one of them where the Packers would be winning. And now let's just go ahead and talk about Bill here. So it's an interesting line that we are getting here for him. And I kind of mentioned last week as well, we were getting some strange lines for him, even though he was kind of expected to. Again, the role that these two running backs had is what we were expecting week one. And he had low lines there for week one. And I kind of think the same for him, honestly, in this game as well. Now, we really do not have any idea what this Green Bay Packers rush defense is going to look like too much. They were able to stop the running backs from getting going, specifically in the passing game, just in general there. I think we actually want to attack Zach Ertz. Sam Laporta was able to have a good game, and I think that was a little bit by design, and I think that'd be the design choice again. And so that's kind of my long way of saying that with Bill here, we could get to some of these bets. And again, I don't mind this one. If you think the Commanders are going to win, really not a bad bet to bet his over rush yards. But for the most part, I think we're probably just staying away from him. And so if we're thinking about betting on the Commanders, let's talk about Zach Ertz. Okay, so let's just pull them up on the cheat sheet first and foremost. What we're going to notice here is we're not really getting that many big edges either way, like for Prize Picks or all purposes. And that's kind of annoying, okay? But we look at some of the lines that we're getting, like 3.5 receptions. I think this could end up being a good bet. He only got to 3 in the last game. Again, the snaps we're concerned about for sure, but the target share, the route share was all there for us. I really don't mind that. Again, if they're playing from behind, it makes sense for him to be in the game maybe a little bit more as well and to get that extra reception that we need him to get. That being said, if he does end up getting over 3.5 receptions, it is tough to imagine him not getting over 31.5. So really, either way we go, I'm fine with that. But again, game script wise, I don't mind that. Then let's talk about Deebo Samuel as well. So kind of a funny bet that people are on, and I agree, I get it. This is the thing with Deebo Samuel. You are going to scheme plays to him, okay, even in the run game. Over 6.5 rush attempts. A lot of people are betting on that, guys, and I don't mind it. I think you could get to that one there as well. The bets that I want to look at are probably more of his receptions. So we are getting different lines everywhere. And so if you're looking for like more of a standard bet, like Underdog there has him at 4.5 receptions. That's a bet that I'd be comfortable getting to there. And let's just look at some of the Jaden Daniels prop bets that we are getting. A lot of people are betting on him to get over his passing yards here of 25.5. Of 27.5. A lot of people are betting on that, okay? And it is a very low line for him, okay? But at the same time, this Packers defense did look good. Now, it is a short week for the Packers. I think part of what was rooted in Micah Parsons potentially sitting for the Packers was the fact that they were playing a Thursday night game, right after their Sunday night game. And he's someone that hasn't played that much. He's probably going to be on another snap count. And so that is something that would help Daniels. Now, the bet that I like for Jaden Daniels is a bet that has been getting bet on a decent amount, and that's him with his rushing yards. So 45.5. I do think that the matchup with the Packers is a matchup where I think like Jared Goff would have done better at last week if he was able to rush the football. And so this is where I think the Packers could be in trouble. But this line to me is just too high to like want to bet on him. This is for like if you guys are playing NFL DFS, like on DraftKings or FanDuel, that's a good sign of him being the top play on the slate, just as an FYI. But yeah, so for me, I'm not going too crazy with any of the ones for him, although I do think they are appealing. So for me, for the Washington Commanders, mostly looking at Deebo, Zach Ertz, and then Austin Eckler. Again, Austin Eckler over receptions in a game script build where you're favoring the Packers to win. And if you are favoring the Packers to win, you might be looking at Josh Jacobs to have another good game. Okay, he ended up with 20 total opportunities in that last game, and he wasn't able to really get going. I would argue this line with the 18.5 rush attempts is the correct line, and so we don't really need to get there. But if he does get 18.5 rushing yards, I don't know about you guys, but I would say that he'd be able to get his over rush yards then. Okay, if he's going to get the rush attempts over, then he should be able to get this over as well. I know that you guys are going to see his last 5 games, maybe not like that. And so I did find that that line was kind of an interesting one. But let's go ahead and just take a peek out and zoom out and see which lines are the best lines for the Packers, okay? We're going to notice Josh Jacobs actually for under his fantasy score, more specifically on Underdog, is a pretty good bet there. Not necessarily, but I want to get to. But I do want to talk about Tucker Kraft and his over fantasy score. So Tucker Kraft was someone that I mentioned in week 1 would be heavily involved in the offense. That was true. Unfortunately for his over receptions, the way he was involved was he got like an end around as a play. Like, no, throw him the football. Give him a pop screen. I don't care. But do not do end arounds with him. That was a little bit crazy to me. But he played a bunch, guys. And I do think it's important to kind of take a peek at the snap counts for the Green Bay Packers as well. So Tucker Kraft, guys, ended up with 92 snaps. Okay, barely left the field. 68% route share. That isn't that much, I will say. That was a little bit annoying, but if they need him to, like, he is basically their, is it hot take to say their best offensive passing weapon, receiving weapon, I guess? Obviously, Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love, but he was treated as their like stud player in that game, even though it doesn't necessarily show up on the box score. So 4 targets, 2 catches, a touchdown, very awesome touchdown catch. Did have a 27% target share. This is the issue with the Packers, is that a lot of the times they're not asked to throw the football that much. They're an efficient team. Jordan Love will make some big plays on 3rd and 4th down. That kind of sucks in terms of us having consistency each week with who we want to target. But this game is expected to be a higher scoring game. So if we're seeing a bet like that for Tucker Kraft, I am more inclined to get to the over. He had a game in which he was decently involved. Now let's look at some of the other snaps as well while we're here. Romeo Doubs played 71% of snaps, 73% route share, 25% target share. That is what you would expect from him. What I was a little bit shocked by was the lack of snaps for Matthew Golden, only 48%. Now he did start, had a 59% route share. And the thing that stood out to me with Matthew Golden is that he was open a bunch on basically all the Packers' big plays. He was also open. It was kind of one of those weird things where the correct play was seemingly made, but also there was another big play there as well. I think that actually speaks more volumes to the Lions defense, but I would not be shocked if Matt LaFleur is watching the film from last week and says, oh, wow, Matthew Golden was open a bunch. Let's get him the football again. And maybe he becomes the focal point of that offense for 1 week. And that's part of it. It is kind of like a Sean Payton-esque offense where the focus does shift. It'll be interesting to see Jaden Reed's snap counts. He is someone that was banged up throughout camp. Did not play a full allotment of snaps last week as well. 55% route share, which was a lot, but only 38% of the snaps. And with it being a short week, I would expect him to be limited as well. I would basically expect this same usage out of him as well. So that should at least mean Matthew Golden's getting a bunch of snaps there still. And so, yeah, I am inclined to get to Tucker Kraft for over 8.5 for his fantasy score. That is a bet that I'm happy to get to on this slate. Again, assuming it's going to be that high-scoring game, we're going to like that. So let's go ahead and take a peek at some of those other bets, like Matthew Golden here. Take a peek at him. So he was not as involved in the game plan as I would have thought he would be, but I will say this is kind of an interesting bet for him in general. His rush and receiving yards one, it would not be shocking to see him get it end around. This is a play that Matt LaFleur likes. He'll run it with Jaden Reed. He ran it with Tucker Kraft. That was strange. I wouldn't be surprised if he runs it with Matthew Golden as well. Again, assuming Reed's going to be a little bit limited as well. This is the exact same line as his receiving yards as well, so might as well. And again, just watching the film, I do think he's going to be more involved. And he still had a 58% route share. Like, we're fine with that there. And he looked good even without making that many plays. And so I'm fine with that. Again, high-scoring game. We want to be targeting more overs. That's an over bet that I like. And just real quickly, looking at Matthew Golden and his bets that we're getting, 51% at, so 51% likelihood for him to get over 33.5. At least we're being told to bet the over right there. But that's kind of the name of the game, especially with these one-game slates. We are forcing in bets that, for a full slate, we wouldn't typically be doing, but that's part of the fun of breaking it down here for you guys. So if you guys like any of these bets, by all means, place them. If you don't, if you actually hate them, you could do the opposite as well. Now, we'll take a peek at Romeo Doubs as well. I'm a little bit shocked at his line of 3.5 receptions, and I'm also more shocked that this is a bet where we're being told to bet on the under. So this is a bet where I'm not going to tell you guys to make it on Prize Pace or Underdog, but if you guys are someone that bets on more traditional books, I would be happy to bet the over of 3.5 receptions, just because, again, he's going to be their receiver number one until like Christian Watson is back, and it's just such a low line. Jordan Love really has his trust in him, and so for that, let's go ahead and actually take a peek at Jordan Love there as well. I would say his lines are actually pretty low. Pass attempts, completions, again, in this high scoring game, you would expect more of pass heavy script. So interesting there. And also his passing yards line does seem to be too low as well. The tough part about the Packers is they can be a little bit efficient to the point where his stats aren't stacking up that much. That does happen. And so I'm going to be skewing more towards the pass catchers for this game in terms of the bets I'm targeting. But I did want to show you guys the Jordan Love bet there as well. And I do want to call it, guys, there is a discount for this game as well. Terry McLaurin for over 34.5 receiving yards. Of course, they would do that for him and not, I guess there's not that many reliable options. So I guess one of the quarterbacks is who they could have done it for instead. But interesting there. But I want to call that out. I will be placing that bet anyways. So let's go ahead and get into the bet of the day here, guys. Going to be 4 bets here on Prize Picks, 1 bet on Underdog. The 1 bet on Underdog is actually going to be Deebo Samuel over 4.5 receptions. Include that here to make it easier on you guys. And then going with Tucker Kraft over 8.5. for his fantasy score. I think if Austin Eckler ends up getting his over fantasy score as well, which we're being told is one of the better bets, he's going to get it via the passing game usage. And so I'd rather just bet on him over 21.5 receiving yards. Austin Eckler as well Zach Ertz for over 3.5 receptions is one that I like as well. I already kind of talked about that. And I do think Matthew Golden is going to be more involved in the game plan, slightly more in this game. And so I don't mind over 33.5 rushing receiving yards. Again, that's the exact same as his receiving yards. So might as well just do that bet instead. Well, I guess he could get minus rush yards on the end around. Guess I didn't think about that, but I like this one more. Interesting thought there. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Again, make sure to leave a like and subscribe on the channel. Do appreciate that. If you guys are someone that is looking to bet on other sites other than Prize Picks, or if you guys are new to Prize Picks, have never played it before, make sure you use the links in the description below. Okay, got partnership deals with Sleeper, Underdog, Prize Picks, and Better. Basically, all the promo codes going on right now are when you sign up for the first time and spend your first $5, you're going to get $5 back instantly. Again, use those links in the description below. That does not go unnoticed when you guys do that. If you guys would like access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, the Prize Picks Optimizer, we also have a bunch of other tools for Underdog, for NFL DFS, and for fantasy golf as well. Those are all available on 9to5sports.com for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck, and as always, let's keep cashing.